This tutorial is going to walk you through the steps to scale the pattern that I have for both the long hair cap and the standard cap. You can find both patterns in the description section below, and what you will need for this is, of course, your pattern pieces printed out, a ruler, a pencil, paper scissors, some tape, some scrap paper, and a measuring tape. By increasing the circumference of the cap, it will in turn also increase the width of the cap top itself. So unless you need to significantly and drastically increase or decrease the size, this one measurement should give you your desired results. The headband of this scrub cap sits right at the top of the earlobe. So the measurement that you want to take will be right above where the headband would be. Take your measuring tape and measure right at the top of where the headband would sit, and go around the entire circumference of your head and have the measuring tape meet in the back of your head. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to say that that measurement was 23 inches. From that measurement, we will subtract 1 inch, which leaves us with 22 inches. Then we'll take those 22 inches and divide them in half, since we are cutting this piece on the fold, which will leave you with a final measurement of 11 inches. This will become the measurement for the bottom seam of your cap side. The first modification you're going to work with is on your cap side. Now I want my measurement at the bottom to be 11. So if I measure my original pattern, it's 10 1/4, so I need to add 3/4 of an inch. Now you can tape this in place to the piece of paper underneath. Just a little piece there and a little piece at the bottom. I'm going to do it closer here to the edge. So I need to add 3/4 of an inch, and I want to do it at the fold because my circumference is bigger than the standard cap. So I'm going to take my ruler anywhere here. I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to go to the top and do the same thing. I'm going to do a straight line and make sure that I extend it past the pattern piece. Then I'm going to connect the bottom of my pattern piece to that line. So I'm going to put my ruler right at the bottom there and connect it. And the same thing up here. Connect this. This is now going to be my new fold line. So I can go ahead and write the word fold with a little arrow just for future reference. And I'm going to transfer the notches. So I want to make sure that I notch here when I'm cutting and that I notch here. I'm going to take a piece of tape, make sure that it's going over here, over the line before I cut. And I only need to cut this piece right here and cut up here. And then cut over and just cut off here. That's all I need. Okay, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to secure this with a piece of tape so that it doesn't come off later. To adjust the cap top, we're going to follow a bit different procedure. We know that we added 3/4 of an inch to our cap side, but we don't just want to add it in the width along the fold like we did with the cap side. We also want to lengthen this piece a little bit. And the way we're going to do that is we're actually going to slice it in half. So at about the 6-inch mark, this measures 12 inches. So at the 6-inch mark, I'm going to actually cut my pattern piece. Now what I'm trying to do is extend in straight areas. So this is the straightest part, and then this I'm just going to extend straight. I don't want to add in a curve area because that can be a little tricky to get the measurement right. So of the 3/4 of an inch that I added to the cap side, I am going to add a 1/2 inch here and then a 1/4 inch here. If you want your cap to feel a little wider, then you can reverse the measurement and actually add only a 1/4 inch for the length and a 1/2 inch at the fold line.
once I cut my pattern piece in half, I'm going to lay it over a piece of paper. I'm using the same one that I did before, and I'm going to draw a straight line somewhere along my paper. I'm going to use the edge of my paper to line it up with my ruler and just draw a straight line. That's going to be my guide to place my pattern piece. I'm going to line up the top and I'm going to tape that in place. There we go. We're going to do a 1/2 inch here, which leaves us with a 1/4 inch, which we will add here. So you'll end up with a 1/4, you're going to stitch, and then another 1/2 inch for a total of the 3/4 of an inch that we added to our cap side. So I'm going to measure a 1/2 inch down and then another 1/2 inch down. And then I'm going to draw my straight line connecting these two. That's going to be my guide for the bottom of my cap top. Now I'm going to line this up here in the corner and I'm going to tape this in place now. Right there. So that takes care of the 1/2 inch right here. Now we need to add a 1/4 of an inch here. And I'm going to take it again in 2 spots. And connect these two. Now you should have a paper that's long enough to allow this to work. I only have 8.5 by 11, but that will work for me for now. I can always eyeball this, or you can always just add a little piece to complete it. I'm going to put my tape and there you go. So now I can cut along this line all the way across. I'm going to put a piece of tape there too. Secure that in place. Now I can cut right over the tape. And when I've cleared it, that's all. When you have all this extra stuff in the back, that doesn't matter. What's important is that you've extended this now by the total amount that you extended the cap side. If you're working with the standard cap, not the one for long hair, the procedure is the same. Once you've added your 3/4 or whatever measurement you determined to your cap side, you're going to come to the middle of the cap, which is 5 inches for me here. You're going to slice it. Now another thing that you can do if you don't want to cut twice is simply measure the 1/4 inch here from the edge and then connect these two lines like so. Then you're going to line up the top anywhere here, lining it up with your pencil mark and tape that in place. Then measure a 1/2 inch below it. So 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here. Make your straight line. Then you're gonna place this, anchor this in the corner right here. Make sure you got it and tape that in place. There we go. Now I'm gonna put a piece of tape to secure this as I'm cutting. And then I'm going to put a piece of tape top and bottom here to make sure it's secure. And again, you should have a piece of paper that is long enough to go all the way to the top. When you place this on the fold in your fabric, it will automatically give you that space that's missing. So I'm not going to worry about it. So again, I cut here. Then I'm going to cut and just connect visually that new line and lift and then just cut across. And that gives me my new pattern piece. Now one thing about the headband is that it is long enough in the original pattern for you not to really need to extend it by 3/4 of an inch. The width of the fabric is probably not going to allow you to do that anyway. But what you're gaining here, 3/4 of an inch on the fold, which is basically 1.5 inches, is minor in the whole length of the headband. so I wouldn't worry about that. So this is what you end up with, whether you're using the long hair cap or the standard cap. If you wanted to reduce the size of the pattern, it would be the same process but in reverse. You would cut and then overlap both pieces, and you would subtract from here accordingly. Again, for this one, you would slice it just like you did and overlap instead of expanding. And then instead of adding here, you would subtract. I hope that you find this helpful. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. And if you have any other videos that you would like me to put together, you can also leave that in the comment section below.